Okay,
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, the time being 7:04 p.m. November 18th, 2020. I'd like to call a meeting of the Tilton Budget Committee to order. Before we get started, if you are participating by phone or the GoToMeeting platform, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, the background noise will interfere with the meeting. Additionally, there is an opportunity for the public to attend the meeting in person. However, in order to maintain social distancing, only 8 spaces are available, and attendance is on a first-come, first-served basis. Once the maximum limit has been reached, anyone wishing to participate in the meeting must do so remotely. If anyone has a problem with remote access to the meeting, please email web@tiltonnewhampshire.org, which will be monitored during the meeting. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we now will review, finish reviewing the minutes of the last meeting, November 4th.
That'd be a suggested amendment.
Hello.
Hi. Is Christine?
It is.
Great. Okay, we'll roll call.
How are you?
Good. We can roll call to see if any other members are on the meeting. With Christine Dembski.
Here.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay, so Kathy Dawson and Scanlon and Bill Lawrence here.
Okay, so as I was saying, on page 3 of 7, down at the bottom, it starts with B. Lawrence. Yeah, on the capital. There, I want to strike from not contributing to the town and was unable to continue to Northfield was not money. And Tilton stopped putting aside. And basically it's because it was 2 separate. Northfield had it.
Somebody on a trolley?
So the next part of that sentence, you may now be able to use those reserves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And as Jeannie spoke, she's been looking through, we could use some of those funds towards, the other repairs and that on the bridge. So,
On page 5 of 7, Kay Dawson asked for the last quarter reserve funds. Second paragraph down.
Okay, yeah.
It's plural. There's more than one.
Funds.
Funds.
Okay.
Do we typically show what time we adjourn?
Um,
I don't really
I'm gonna
know.
look at the clock.
It typically is recorded, but
Does it? I really, truly don't know.
what they're doing. Ready? Make a motion to accept the minutes of November 4th, 2020 as a second, and then we'll, as amended, sure, as amended, sure. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have Kevin Duval. Come on down. How are you tonight?
Well, how are you?
Good, so far so good. I am smiling at anything.
I believe. Have you had a chance to review my budget?
Is that here? I think. I don't think they did.
Okay, I can touch on the points that.
Yeah, why don't you lead us through this?
Okay.
Have
Well,
you-
the biggest change to my budget this year was we added a full-time member. And that was to help my crew serve the community better. And working with Tim, we were able to figure out that we had the funds available to do so. And part of that was taking my part-time wages and adding that to the full-time, which kind of offset. And so after we were able to do that, I took a look at my budget and found that I could reduce some other lines to better offset that additional crew member. The biggest change that I made, I don't want to say the largest change, one of the largest changes I made was reducing my salt budget. And what led me to that decision was I looked at how much material I had left over from last winter season, compiled with the amount of money I had left over in that line going into this next winter season, fall season. I felt that reducing the salt budget, let's see here,
From 50 to,
exactly to, without my glasses.
$10,000.
Yeah, $10,000. That was a conservative number. And I will continue to fine tune those numbers as each year progresses. Now, what I found is our road conditions are getting better. So this year we have new road surface throughout town. Taylorville, Clark, Colby, all those got resurfaced this past summer. We have new surfaces on, Cedar Street, Highland Ave, in that area as well. And what I found is with those new road surfaces, it doesn't take as much salt to clear the roads because we have more contact with our plow frames. So all of those factors went into making that decision to reduce it by 10,000 this year.
Great.
So that being said, that led me to my next reduction, which was the overtime budget. Now, a lot of my overtime was attributed to the amount of time it would take us to clear the roads from during each storm. Now that we have better road conditions, our plowing process is much more effective. So we can clear the roads quicker, which doesn't equate to a lot of overtime.
Great.
And that again I think is a conservative number. Even with adding our additional crew member, what that does is it actually gives me more flexibility within my crew to have people maybe in rotation to keep that overtime down. Now, I know a lot of people like the overtime for the extra money, but there does come a time when I have to think of my crew safety.
And when they're plowing for 36 hours straight, it becomes a fact. So I need to keep those flexible options in less, the outcome is less overtime. That also is a conservative number, and I'll continue to fine tune that as the years progress.
Excuse me, Kevin.
Yep.
Did we have a copy of his budget?
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask for the same thing.
Yeah, because I don't have one.
It's in the
And it's in the
draft we got last week.
Last week, and it's in the folder.
Oh, it was last week's?
Well,
Last week, we got a
folder,
copy of the
same thing.
draft operating budget.
Okay.
Color.
Yeah, it did some last week, looks like this.
Do you have one?
So I should have.
Oh, the front page looks like this.
Yeah, I got
Oh,
it.
it's this one here. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kevin. I didn't realize that.
Oh, it's-
That's what we were working with. Yeah.
The rest of my budget really hasn't changed. So
Page 6 and 7.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, actually, I remember, I did look at this last week. Yeah, is there anything else that? you
the
think is-
training line was reduced because we'll be utilized, since everything has gone web-based.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot more affordable for me to have my guys do a web-based seminar or schooling than actual classroom time. And we'll be able to utilize more free training from places like Primex and other entities out there. So I'm going to focus more on getting training for the crew through those avenues instead of paying a dollar amount and basically getting the same training, sometimes even better training that are free or are available to us without cost. Those are basically the changes I've made.
Sure, no, it looks good.
I am pleased to see, even with adding a crew member, that my budgeting is at 3.1%.
Sure. No,
So I
That's good.
think that was pretty great. Any questions?
Any questions?
Good.
Yeah.
I can see the wheels turning.
In the training,
Yes.
has anybody achieved the fertilizer and herbicide requirement license?
That is still on my docket to get.
Did COVID affect that this year?
It did, unfortunately.
I suspect it
It
was.
has, and some of it was COVID. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of it was COVID. Some of it was just me trying to find my place within COVID and the struggles that I had as well. It is
Okay.
still, I did speak with Jeannie about this, and I told her that it was still very much a part of my to-do list this next season. So yes.
I think there's a savings to be had there. Highway building repairs.
Mhm.
Looks like we budget 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. What do you have on plans in repairing this year? Is
This year.
this a just in case, or do you actually have
I have a plan
repairs?
in place. This year was, I was gonna have my overhead doors made, serviced and repaired.
Mhm.
The estimate came in at 3,500 from multiple entities. And I said, okay, I can't do that. So my foreman and I actually assessed and repaired what we could and actually made them good for another year. Next year, well, I'm looking at getting them some panels replaced.
Okay.
And getting the heating system overhauled as well. Now there's 4 gas heaters in the shop that need to be serviced, so I will have to outsource that. So those are the big expenses I'm looking at for next year.
Your radio communications, again, last year you budgeted 1,100, this year 1,100. Is that replacing,
That's
repairing?
replacing the oldest ones that we have.
Okay.
Last year, we did replace the one that was in the 2008 GMC. This next one that we're going to replace is in the 1999 International. After this next year, I think we're all good.
Okay.
So that'll be obviously I want to keep a little bit in that line for maintenance or replacing the tender or something. But next year, going forward, it'll probably be 3 or 4 years before we're looking at another.
And what are the subcontractors that you hire? I know you do the sweeping and
The subcontractors would be for, like, I want to get the brick placed or fixed in the center of town where the planter is,
oh,
you know, where it's all falling apart.
yes, I do.
So that would be my contractor line, getting an estimate to get that replaced. Catch basin cleaning if I need to, you know, things like that.
Okay. Thank you. I'm good.
Although I would like to keep everything in-house, there are some times when I do have to outsource someone.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
So the storm drains, is that money just put in there every year just because you're gonna have to work on them?
Yes, exactly.
Fortunately, no road construction.
Yes. We did do a lot of repairs this year because of the washouts. Looking back, we spent a lot of money in materials between ledge pack and stone because of all the washouts we had in the spring and through the summer.
Which ones what were some of the washouts?
Cedar Street, Highland Ave, Linden Ave. There was some towards Manville, Hill Road, Noise Road. There were washouts throughout town that we were chasing for a while. It seemed like it was once, twice a week we were chasing washouts. And that was just the amount of water that was falling, and you know the road edge just gets eroded, and we've got to fill the ditches back in before we start losing our paved roads.
Sure.
And one more question. There's probably more for Tim. Highway street lighting. That's something we don't really have a lot of control over, is it not? Isn't that the Eversource lighting along the state highways and?
Yeah, the large system, yes.
Okay. But that's not something that the town or Public Works can go out and, okay. I just find it interesting it's in there.
Now, I might be shooting myself in the foot, but I have gone through my budget a little bit further and found some areas where I can reduce it by about another $4,000. Now, I'd rather not, obviously, but if I have to, I can do so. Now, would you like me to share?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, equipment supplies. Now, you have to remember that a lot of these numbers I started with from the previous director. And when I first started, I didn't want to go drastically changing things, not really knowing what I was going to be dealing with. I've got a few years under my belt now, and I'm pretty confident in my numbers and how I watch my budget throughout the year. The equipment supplies line, I have never reached that $6,000 mark. And it's in the line 345.
Yeah.
So I could comfortably reduce that by $1,000, I think. The gas and diesel line, again, this year here, we were only at, was it 61%?
Keep in mind that's a month back.
Okay.
If you look at that, it's always a month delay.
Okay. So I would say that I could probably reduce that by $1,000 as well. We're almost into December. We're at 61%. I really don't believe that we're going to be using 40% of that budget in a month's time. The next line would be radio communications. Can I get by with the radio that's in the 99 right now? Absolutely. Would I like a new one so I don't have to have a breakdown in the winter that I have to deal with? Because what I found with the last one I ordered, it took 6 months. And I can't afford to have a truck down for 6 months without a radio. So I'd like to keep that on schedule. Can I do away with it for this year? Absolutely, but I'd rather not. Yeah, I like the mask.
I have a question. Is there money left in your budget that you could order that radio now?
I would have to get with Tim, and I think there is because of the condition of my budget right now. Absolutely. But I would have to pull from other lines to do so. And I'm still
He's shaking his head yes. So you could come back to us
I
on
would
that.
never make that decision without conversing with him first, just to make sure. All is good.
And we're all for anything that you can cut, as long as you're not putting yourself in jeopardy. That's what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
I know the supply chain is terrible, and so.
I understand that.
I wrote a baby.
I've got, this is going to be my third season as director, and like I said, I'm feeling pretty confident with those numbers. So yeah, no, I'm.
Great, well, I'm sure we're in favor of that.
Sure. And if it's not too late, I could get with him and you can make those adjustments. I don't feel like I'm shorting myself one bit,
Great.
by making these other adjustments. And the other line that I would probably reduce is the building and grounds maintenance. That line is only at 31% right now. I know that we're a month behind, but we're not even at 50%. And I don't see that 50% being used in the month of December. So I would think that we could reduce that by $1,000 as well.
What is that typically taking care of?
Building and grounds maintenance.
Is that for your shop?
For the shop.
Okay.
And the majority of that money was replacing asphalt from digging the trench for the new surveillance system that was put up, like the conduit or
Okay,
things of that nature. I need new locks for the doors, so that would go in that line.
sure, yeah.
And things like new weather stripping for the doors, things like that. Or paint, or, if I need 2x4s to replace the walls. that kind of thing.
Okay, sounds great. Is there anyone on the GoToMeeting platform that would like to ask Kevin Duval any questions?
Nope, I'm all set.
Great. Any other questions?
I have one more.
Okay,
Have you upgraded all the signs, the road signs? that
Yes.
We needed to?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you look at this year, our replacing all the road signs, it was mandatory for this year that everything be brought to the 6-inch reflective letters from the 4-inch. We completed that this year. The deadline was 2020, so we were able to complete that, but the amount of money that it took to bring the town up to compliance was more than I had anticipated. So what do I do with that? So I split it up and put it into my signs line, highway signs and safety equipment, which is why you see an overage in that line.
okay, yeah.
And also in the miscellaneous line, which shows an overage as well.
Okay,
So that's the
okay, great. And these are street signs or?
These are road name signs. That was to bring the town up to compliance.
It'd be retro reflective
Yeah, metro reflective.
and then the
6-inch.
bigger letters.
Not only that, we the added expense was also trying the correct sign location. Like, I like bringing up Mansville because it's the one that pops into my head all the time, because the road comes out here, and the sign was like 30 feet away on the telephone pole. In the middle of nowhere. So we ended up, it takes a new bracket to mount it on the sign, on the stop sign, to bring it right to the road. So
Yeah.
those were the adjustments we made this year, trying to make the town correct.
Great.
Which in the new signs needs new brackets. So they were costly to replace, but the town is now compliant. We don't have to worry about it.
Did we have to replace the signs on the class 2 state aid roads?
No. Class 2 as in Sanborn Road.
Well, 132 is a numbered road, so I'm thinking Lancaster Hill Road, Church Street, Silver Lake Road.
Okay.
Brook.
So it was, I did contact the state, and it's our responsibility to replace or to provide names, certain road names. It's the state's responsibility to control traffic. Stop signs, yield signs, things of that nature. So it's up to the town to name the sign, name the roads. It's the state's responsibility to control the traffic, stop signs, yield signs, things like that.
What does that mean? Does that mean we paid for the signs on the state roads?
We're responsible for
Naming
road
them,
names,
but how about the signs?
the stop signs,
No,
the road name signs. We're responsible for the road name signs.
thank you.
I called the man in Concord direct. That's what you told. I see the.
No, it's not you, it's the state. They always, they're supposed,
It was a loophole,
they're
for
their
sure.
roads. They came in here in the 30s and took them away from the towns and made them state roads. And they're supposed to take care of them and they don't. It's just that simple.
I know the struggle, and I spent half the day making sure I was getting.
I'm glad that they're changed. They're safer signs,
Oh, sure.
but I wish the state would take up their responsibility.
Yeah, that's a struggle.
Right, and Bill.
I know the money is scarce, but thank you. And so thank you for moving the Silver Lake Road sign so people can actually see to get out of there safely.
And there will be a stop sign on West Street. I'm sure. West Street has never had a stop sign.
Whoa,
That's exciting.
that'll be new.
Both sides?
Yes, well, actually, on the Prospect Street side, there is a stop sign.
Yeah.
But on the other side, there is.
Yeah.
So,
I'm still gonna put one at the bottom of Prospect Street.
We would sit out there and sit there and stop sign somewhere. That's admiring.
And while you're here, thank you for coming to the rescue and putting up the lights for Riverfront Park.
You're welcome.
We didn't expect the school to close down,
Yeah.
so the ag kids couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But you guys
No,
stepped
I
right
understand.
up.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you
Thank
guys
you.
finished everything that was, you wanted to do.
Actually, I wanted to ask a question. The light post next to the road, has that ever worked? Because the outlet is now working there. And I'm not sure if it ever worked.
I know that Josh Carter has taken an assessment of all the poles and lights. We had one dangling, as you know.
Mhm.
He took that one down, but he's done an assessment,
Mhm.
was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I don't remember.
And
Okay.
we'll start repairing.
We'll run an extension cord for now.
I know there was a problem that he felt the underground conduit
Okay. We'll start
may
with that.
have had a break in it and that water may be shorting out some of those outlets.
Entirely possible.
So
Okay. Well, we'll continue with the Christmas lights and things. It'll be this week just to get that all squared away. So.
thank you.
Great, thanks.
So,
All set, thank you.
As always, great job, Kevin.
thank you.
Okay, we're on to Tim Pearson. Finance report.
first, I just want to say, as I usually say each time after Kevin's been up talking about budget issues, that he just does not only such a fine job in everything that he does through the course of his work and the management of his department, but he also has a very keen eye towards finance and his budget, and he takes personal responsibility for it. He really watches the figures very, very closely and asks all the right questions and looks at all the right things. And anytime there's anything that where there's an opportunity, to do something better, save some money, find a better way, he's on it. So as a finance director and as a taxpayer, I just can't say enough good things about it. So
Thank you.
in any case, so you have the October financials in front of you. You should. They were in your packets, I believe.
Mhm.
And just a couple of highlights before I get into those. First of all, you probably, depending on your mail carrier, may have seen your tax bill, in which case the tax rate was set at $20.73, which was a reduction of $1.33 from last year. And that was without the use of fund balance. I've included in the back of your packet not only the funds report, but I've also put the guide that I do each year to the tax rate, so it gives you all the details behind it, and you can see where the reductions were. The school had a significant reduction. The town also had a reduction. Most of the components were reduced, which was good. That's not to say that that's going to be a recurring theme, and in fact, for 2021, it's probably going to be just the opposite. Where we really try, over time to have a stable tax rate, there really isn't much we can do about this combination of years in 20 and 21. So take it while you can get it in 20, and we're going to do our best to manage things appropriately in 21, and we'll probably be using fund balance at the end of 21 to help offset some of the increase that you're looking at in the 21 budget. So looking at the overall state of finances for the budget, first of all, our expense budget, we are running about $100,000 under plan right now. So if you were to look at your current year expenses, the difference in where we are, where we should be at this time of year, we're about just a little bit underneath $100,000 under our expense budget, where we should be. So that's not to say it's going to remain that way. It's not an equally divided 1/12 of the year all the way through the year, and we do have increased expenses in December. So we are right on plan as far as I'm concerned with our expenses. We still have the $45,000 in the contingency line, and there are items that will start to be transferred back into lines, not only for some encumbrances, also look at the radio communications for Public Works, but there's some other items too. We will be in the new year, very early on, we'll be looking to move the generator from the old police department, removing that and either utilizing it in another location or storing it for the time being. Most likely, we're going to look to utilize it here at Town Hall, and the costs that are associated with moving that and the transfer switch, installing it here, things of that sort, those are things that would be used from that contingency line. Those are as yet unapproved, but those are some of the things that we're looking at. In terms of in general, if you look through the budget, you'll see there are some lines that are overspent often in the supplies or postage. We don't have all of our election expenses in yet. We're just getting the supervisors, should be coming in shortly, and we're just about to get the November election costs The payroll has just come in for that, so that'll be showing up in November. And as you go through this, you'll see that overall we're right about at plan. I can't say there's any one glaring area that really sticks out. In our revenues, the revenues are actually quite strong, and that was one of the things that helped us at tax rate setting time. We had pretty much made our motor vehicle budget by the end of October. We were looking to make up what we had originally projected for the full year, almost in 10 months. And so that was good. Some of the estimated revenues that you see here are going to come in a little differently from the state revenues. They adjust them each year. So our rooms and meals is going to be a little bit less, but just marginally so. But as you can see, we have a balance of about 228,000 as of the end of October left to go, and we will easily exceed that number. So our revenues will be ahead of plan. On the funds report, which is the next page, again, this is what I like to put in here, at least on a quarterly basis. And up top, it has all of your police detail revolving fund. As yet, there's no plan to purchase a cruiser in 2021. That's not to say that if the revenues picked up for the detail fund, that couldn't be planned and or purchased in 21. But right now we have 3/4 of payments left to go, 3 payments on our last cruiser that we purchased at the end of 18 and received in 19. And so we have more than sufficient money to pay for that. And then we'll just have to see how the revenues proceed. We've had a very light year in detail revenues this year. So that's been one of the factors putting the brakes on a new vehicle. If we're in the same position next year, we may need to look at a warrant article or a combination of warrant, part warrant article, part detail fund for 2022. If we're still without a cruiser at that point, to keep the fleet with adequate mileage across it. The Recreation Revolving Fund, the Parks Commission are agents for this. You can see they've got a balance of $12,211. The grants and donations, these are various items, as you can see. I can tell you that the IT one, the network related, that's the remainder of a MetroCast grant that we received years ago. It's been held waiting for the town hall to be recabled. We now have a plan for the town hall as when I go through the IT budget with you, I can explain how we're going to be doing things, but the board has approved replacing the phone system here, upgrading the internet to fiber here and at the PD. And that was all as part of a justification to afford the fiber by reducing the expensive phone lines that we have here. So as part of that IT network grant line, that will be going away as we'll be recabling the building and using all of that. As we move down, other funds, the Conservation Commission has both the Land Use Change Fund and Easement Monitoring Fund. There will be more monies deposited into the Land Use Change Fund because of Highland Ridge, the lots that have come out of current use, I believe have all now been paid. So I'll be processing that with the selectmen, and we'll be making a deposit of those monies because back in when the warrant article was passed for the Conservation Commission, 100% of the current use monies go to the Land Use Change Fund. There is also with the trustees are the custodians for the police building fund, and the $18,635 that you see here is representative of essentially 3 $5,000 donations currently. So one is Napoli Group, which is McDonald's, one is Common Man, and one is Franklin Savings Bank, each for $5,000. We are expecting other donations, and we have a list that we're waiting on. The remainder of that money are from brick and tile sales that were collected locally, so either through cash or checks. And then we have another roughly $10,000 that's coming in credit card payments from the brick and tile people for that fundraiser. In total, we're looking at a total of somewhere between I'd say 60 to 75,000 in total donations. Then in the capital reserve funds, these are as of the end of October again. Improving and maintaining lakes. I just received and have yet to transmit to the trustees a request from the Conservation Commission to use some money out of this fund. Literally have not yet opened it, so I don't know the exact amount, but that will change. The Recreation Facilities Capital Reserve, that again is the Parks Commission. They're the agents for that fund. Tilton Northfield Island Park, you can see. Reassessment Fund, road repair is only at $50,373. We have yet to make our deposit, which we will by the end of the year, into that fund. Highway Equipment Fund has been done. The WERDA, which is the Winnipesaukee River Trail, that's a maintenance fund that the town holds in case there's repairs needed there. And then new this year was the Senior Center Expendable Trust Fund, which was approved at town meeting, and 5,000 was put into that. In addition, the audited general fund unassigned fund balance as of the end of last year was 616,000. I have a thumbnail idea of where we're going to end up, but prefer not to say at this point. But I think it's safe to say that it's going to be over $100,000. So we'll be looking somewhere in the 700 plus fund balance by the end of the year.
Okay.
Tim,
Yeah.
On the police building, donation for the new police building, AutoServe pledged $20,000?
25.
$25,000.
And we are expecting that. This
You know, I'm
reflects-
concerned because they've sold and changed hands and reformed. And I see that their lots are kind of
Right.
pretty skimpy for inventory. Is there a problem?
No, and in fact, we just reviewed this recently. We do expect that I think the closing is technically on December 1st, or so I understand, and that that we expect to check around shortly after that. So, and it has been confirmed that that is coming. There have been talk of other commitments. That's why I say that I think when all is said and done, we're going to be in the 65 plus category. It falls short of what we were hoping for originally, but that was pre-COVID. And as you might imagine, a lot of businesses, there's uncertainty and some businesses that have been very supportive in the past that are more retail oriented, maybe less so. And then other businesses are providing things in kind. So we've got donations of certain appliances and fencing and other equipment like that. So that all is being tracked. The reason why you see this here is this is what is technically in the bank as of October 31st and is under the custody of the trustees of the trust fund.
I guess I have a couple questions on the police revolving fund salary.
So
negative 30,000.
well, right. So the way to look at that is that you see the beginning balance of the fund is 31,575. The revenue that we received is 48,842. Of that, we've paid out $30,060 in salary.
Okay.
Paid out $430.82 in employer taxes. Most of the people that work the details do not pay into Social Security because of the retirement fund. And then you see retirement, and then equipment expenses are payments for the cruisers.
Okay. And on the land use change fund, what is that fund? What does it do?
So that is, from my understanding, and maybe John, being a member of the Conservation Commission, would want to chime in, but my understanding is that when that was set up, and anytime land is taken out of current use and put into a developed state, if you will, as lots or some other form, that to help preserve the green space and other things, that money is set aside for the Conservation Commission so that they have the opportunity to either buy land that's for sale, either wherever it might be that they would consider that to be an offset or something that would be beneficial to the community. And so those monies are allowed to build up over time. And it just so happened, I mean, it had been dormant for some time because there hadn't been any land really taken out of current use until Island Ridge, and those lots really created a lot of activity this year. So, and I believe there's somewhere north of 13,000 that'll go into this fund before the end of the year.
And is that something that comes forward at town meeting to decide on how to spend that?
No,
No.
Just the Conservation Commission can do whatever they want with it.
Well, not anything they want.
Well, yeah, with land.
The purpose is that when people have stuff in
Conservation.
current use, it's
Yeah.
usually, it's open land and
Right.
stuff like that. So when they take it out of current use and they turn into lots and houses, we
They
kind
pay
of
a
lose a
penalty.
little.
Right.
So the money that's forfeited by changing our current use, put into that fund, and we've been trying to find important sites to save or
Replace.
preserve
Basically replace it with a conservation type of,
easement on it.
yeah, right,
Yes,
okay, okay, good. Thanks.
So the other thing, and you'll see my tax rate guide at the end there too. If you've never read it, it's fascinating and enthralling.
it is.
And actually was used by another town too, because they like the formats. Anyway, there will be some updates to the budget coming. Since I met with you last week and reviewed the overall budget, I've received an update to the parks budget, which will be $34,500, and that's primarily because the pavilion at Riverfront Park really needs a new roof. So there's $12,000 in there towards roof. In addition, we're trying to nail down the remainder of the service and maintenance items for the new building. Give you an example, the HVAC systems in the building, of which there are a number of them up in the ceiling for the different zones. The maintenance just for the first year alone is about $5,900 for those systems. In addition, there's also a service contract I'm waiting on for the generator, which is a 175,000 kilowatt generator. There's also the sprinkler inspections and other annual items that we're trying to get the firm numbers on some of those things. So in any event, that will be forthcoming, and hopefully as you go through the budget and vote on items, either in the outside agencies or other items that you might go through tonight, I'll be making those updates to the budget as well. So as you get these, hopefully you should be seeing updates on a regular basis. So, and I will keep you apprised of those. So, any questions?
Oh, great, thanks. Nice to be learn about our.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions?
Great.
Great,
Okay, thanks very much.
thank you. Okay, on to the outside agency discussion. All right, so. Have a good night, Kim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, so. Anybody have anything they want to talk about with the outside agencies?
I'd like to add that, I'd like, if I could just add that, as requested, the information was sent to the 9 organizations that were determined they needed additional COVID information for. All they got their information back, and those are in your folder now. If you, Ian would distribute it to you. If you need a copy, I do have one extra copy here. If somebody else needs to make a copy on the items. Okay.
Thank you, Janice, that was great.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Did everyone get a chance to look at those, or?
Yeah.
I've gone through them. I've just kind of made some notes, and I don't know if anybody else has been looking at them, but I was gonna go through these one by one with what I could see as a perspective. And I'll just bring that up to discuss it, but first, and I'm not sure if I'm trying to read all the financials that they give us and to understand them, and I'm not sure if I'm really great with that, but say New Beginnings, I believe what I could see was that their income was up about 68% at this point, and their expenses were up a little bit. So I think the federal money they're receiving is benefiting them quite a bit. Anybody else have any perspective on? Christine, have you looked at any of this stuff?
I haven't had much time to look it over because I figured we were gonna have a date to, go over them. So
Sure. This is part of that for today.
I thought we were voting because it said they had till January something.
Oh, sure, yeah, no, I just wanted to start discussing perspectives of these. But I'll just go through these, if you guys want to make notes, and you could double check my figures if you want. But I was looking at New Beginnings. I thought they seemed to have quite a lot more income, like 68% more at this point of the year than they normally have. DNA, they were saying, I think they got a $350,000 loan, and they are showing about a 315,000 loss so far. I think the loan was going to be forgiven, but so it looks like they're a little bit ahead of their normal cycle. But there was, I guess the end of September, they had $1,382,000 plus in revenue. By the 10-15, they had 1,833,000 plus in their revenue. And I think they had a deficit of 102,000. So I mean, it's hard to know how much more they would be using in the year, but it seems like these two places, these two organizations are fairly well off with the government subsidies. The Hall Library, they had extra 8,000 plus expenses, and they were not able to get any kind of PPP funds because apparently they fall between not a municipal and not a business. Lakes Region Mental Health, looks like they have loans of $1,600,000. And I can't see that they have a lot of extra expenses. So like 209 maybe thousand COVID expenses. That's up. Had 334,000 in PPP, plus an 80,000 and a 12,000 grants. The TN Rec, their expenses were down, their revenues were down. But they did get a PPP for 36,000. And I believe they got a couple of grants, one for 56,000 and a couple for 5,000, 2,000. Waypoint had a 1.7 million PPP loan that will be forgiven apparently. CAP had a 1,950,000 loan. That I'm not sure. There's, I think they said on that paperwork that they are still going to have a substantial loss. I'm still not sure about the CAP formula. We seem to pay more than anybody else. The Sanderson pays 20%, or they are charged 20% of what we pay for 70% of the services. Guilford actually pays less than we do for more services. How do you want to proceed?
Well, there's some agencies, I guess we call them, that are part of our town, our infrastructure, even though they're technically not like the library. That, I feel that, those are ones that we kind of have to support. And I'd like to look at those and,
Like Old Home Day, Highland Concert Park Cemetery.
yeah, I think some we've already voted on.
Those, I think we've
I thought we already voted.
I think we've taken care of those because they're small and we know that they need us.
In the library, did we vote? I didn't
We
think
do
we
not
did.
vote on
Yeah,
I think we were waiting for some other information, right? For that?
I believe we're waiting on the information that we have here,
mhm.
Right.
if I recall.
Well,
We did receive some additional information from you.
yeah, we found, they sent this sheet where they had this expense sheet, which cost them, I think, $8,000+. And then they also said they weren't eligible for any of the COVID funds.
Go figure.
And
So the actual amount that they were looking for was 131,950, and so it was corrected on our forms.
on the
The form
library.
actually says 275, but I,
Right, yeah.
that was
Well, that cut in half.
total, yeah, half of that.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. On
Sure.
the Memorial Library, you know, they added the glass and all the items for COVID. If they're part of the infrastructure, did we go put that in like they did at Town Hall, or they did that on their own?
They're not part of the town, actually.
Oh, I thought you said they were part of the infrastructure.
Well, they, I guess, no, they're not part of our financial infrastructure. I guess I said should say part of the community.
And they were closed the majority of 2020, right? Did they open up for in-person yet?
We've been doing, people can take books out and they have curbside pickup. And then they've had for overnight. They've been just getting phone calls, assisting people with it and having folks package stuff and dropped off or left it curbside.
I have to look at the minutes, because I think she talked about that.
You can go into there, they have been, you're able to go in there by appointment.
Okay, yeah.
Arrange people to call them up, and then they have curbside pickup. They've been serving the community in a creative way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see a lot of activity. Do they have their figures of how, you know, how they've been picked up since they've opened, if they're still serving the same amount of people? I just feel like this library is a dying breed, so to speak,
Still serving what, Christine?
of how many people they're serving. They used to give us that, you know, they used to have how many people log in and all their programs. Now that they can't do that, are they still getting the same number of people since, you know, now that they're starting to open, or is it still really slow? Or I go by there and I don't, and when I go by, because I have to go on the highway every day and come home that way, and I'm just wondering if they're, you know,
Their application says they 2,000 plus or minus in 2020, and they expect the same in 21.
okay, yeah, I see that. they're asking for more money. I'm surmising by the reports that it looks like it's just payroll. They have more money sitting in their operating fund than they've ever had. They told us it was around 50,000 when they came.
Oh, yeah, in the minutes, we were missing the answer to one of your questions about pay. They had furloughed, and that's missing on this. That was one thing I wanted to.
Yeah, I have.
They furloughed all of the employees. I think they were a real skeleton staff when they weren't full.
Uh-huh,
And you're right, she didn't come.
right.
Yeah, I know they were
petitions are
explaining to us.
worse.
Yeah.
I think they opened in August or something, but partially, but I'm not sure. Can't see.
Unfortunately, I think their fees and everything's still going to stay really low for them because now all the schools are, having their COVID outbreaks and things are just going to have this second round. When would they be? I mean, is 2021 for us to fully fund something that's not even going to be fully functional is my problem. And I didn't see on here, so they didn't get extra money. They didn't say they got extra money. But one of my questions was, what did they do with the money they didn't use when they were closed? And I don't see that on here. Maybe just the operating budget holding that much money says it itself.
Well, they couldn't furlough their employees, right?
I think they did.
I thought they did.
Or
I think they were on unemployment, weren't they?
paid them, right? Or
No, they
No, I
should.
think they basically probably allowed them to collect that stipend
Unemployment.
available. That was my assumption when she said,
Okay.
that is what happened.
so we should probably find out if that happened. Yeah, to find out what happened with that money, which when they were closed.
Yeah, I thought that was the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, bring that question up because that might make a difference on if they have, what kind of surplus they have, right?
They should, but they were also not getting their book fees and things like that, which is a small amount, but they got both Tilton and Northfield's money, and they were shut down, quite a portion of the year.
Right,
they told us they had 50,000 in operating, 76,114 in capital account, and the trust account had 225,793. But they explained about that why we.
So
Can
my
I ask
problem-
when, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
Well, I hope I'm not going to have the same question for each of the. What happened to the surplus that they didn't spend? I mean, these reports coming in do show if they get loans or this and that, but the main question is they should still have a surplus from of what they didn't use.
Right, we'll just ask them that. We'll say, what is their
Okay.
surplus of the furloughed employees? Because if anything, we should be able to reduce that. We want them to continue in business, but if they're
Right.
using the money, it should, that surplus should go into next year's budget, I would think.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And then electrical wouldn't go down too much. They have to still pay for heat and all that. All that stuff will still stay similar. But
right, we want them to stay operational as much as possible, but if they're surplus, we should be able to.
And with them, they didn't get the PPP, so maybe they did still. I thought they said they were on unemployment, but maybe they did pay them. I don't know. Because people who got their pay, even though they weren't working, could still file unemployment and get the extra $600. So if they were still getting paid and then on unemployment getting the extra $600, then that would explain why the money was still going out, but, I mean,
Well, they can't be paid if they're on unemployment.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, you actually could during the COVID. I used to work for unemployment, by the way. But this COVID situation, let's say you were a bus driver and you got your bus driver pay, you could still file unemployment to get that governmental $600. I know everybody who's done it. So, I don't know if they actually got paid or they were on real unemployment.
How can you get both unemployment and a paycheck?
No, you wouldn't get the unemployment part. You wouldn't get the regular unemployment. You just got the extra 600 or the 300 as it went down that the federal government sent to the states to add on to the unemployment. That's what they did. So if you got your full, yeah, a lot of people filed. They got their full pay plus the extra money.
I'm a bus driver and I never got the extra and I filed.
Yeah, my wife is as well. She got what she got from unemployment, which was $150 plus the $600.
So you must know something special, Christine. You should let us know how to do that.
No, I didn't file. I wish, but other people that I know have done that. I mean, I have clients that are realtors have done that, but they weren't getting their pay until they actually closed. So they just got unemployment during the weeks. But as far as I know, from the people that I have spoken to, they were getting their regular pay plus they could still get the extra $100 or whatever it was.
I know the library was open and they did have curbside service and they actually they purchased signs advertising. I think, I get mine curbside at all library. If you've seen those signs around town and.
I think we just need a clarification. I kind of thought maybe she said we paid everybody anyways, but if we get a clarification, if they did furlough anyone and if there is a surplus from that. So we'll have Janice Funk.
Yeah, because curbside I don't think open till what? September?
Oh, no,
maybe August?
Yeah, that was, I know I saw the signs.
Oh, we can.
I saw the sign.
We'll ask those questions again. Okay, we should be clear. Okay, so did you have another agency you wanted to discuss? I mean, youth assistance program is another one that's a mainstay of the community. And I think applied for they should be getting, the towns will be getting about 8,000 refunding from some grants.
Are we talking about youth assistance? You said?
Yes, yeah.
They're
Yeah,
going to
so,
be turning in. Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, there was a grant that they got, which
Amounts
will
indicator of
reimburse.
Tilton share. Okay.
Yeah. So they said once the end of the program, it will be given back to the towns.
Is it both those amounts? Because it says the grant currently covers part of the expenses, blah, blah, blah. The amounts indicated are Tilton's share of the grant, and it's listed $79.88 twice. So we'll get one for 2020 and one for 2021 back, looks like.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah. And I believe, I think they were open the whole time, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Just following protocol of distancing and masks.
So looking at the youth assistance, it says at the bottom, once they spend our money, then they can get the 7988 reimbursed.
Right.
So what would happen? What would happen if we cut the 7988 off the top of the budget right away? I don't know.
Well, I think they have to return it after they spend it. So what we'd be doing is we'd be cutting them twice. I believe that's what she was saying. It's kind of one of those restricted things, from what I understand. But I have to look at the minutes again.
I think one of the problems of us taking it out before the state refunds it, often monies from the state change, let's say, like school funding, for example, money that they gave us last year is not what they're gonna give this year, theoretically.
Oh, okay.
But it does say here that if the state does reimburse them, they will deduct that. So we wouldn't be paying to them anyway.
No, okay. So, but we still have to allot it for them to,
Get it?
you know.
Right.
Okay. Because I was trying to figure out, they have to get that to get it back. Okay.
That's right.
Right.
Well, we send out more information. Asking for more information.
Well, that's what we did. That's what.
Asking for a Paul Memorial, what they do to
Right. We want to know if they had actually.
Are we voting on any of this tonight?
No, I think we're just going to discuss it.
So I think we should hold off and actually discuss it when we're going to come out. Personally, as it'd be easier and it'd be fresher, and when we have everything, if we have asked for other outside agencies for any other extra information.
Well, the reason I like to discuss it is bring up these questions we might need to answer so that we can make a more informed.
Well, and if we need more information from any of them.
Right. I mean, I feel pretty good about the assistant program. So does anybody else have any others?
It looks like they kept their 2021 proposed budget very, very similar to 2020.
Right.
I don't have the minutes in front of me, but did they say they were open the entire year? I think they did, right?
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
I believe I have the minutes here.
Oh, his notes. Okay. They thought they were nonprofit, so they couldn't get any relief, and she found out after she came to us that they could have, so she didn't get PPP and all that.
Yeah, and the minute says she applied for relief. They were not qualified due to guidelines of the program. They did apply and receive the extent of the entire grant of $35,768, done as a reimbursement monthly. And they will reapply in May. And it says to offset the program to the town. And the budget being requested is $48,196. So the $36,768 is divided by two towns, and it looks like we're each getting half of that.
They actually requested less than last year.
Uh-huh.
Last year, 48,251, they're 48,196. They've been slightly going down each year as best they could, it looks like.
Okay. So I'm good with the youth assistance program. I guess my issues would be with the bigger agencies, which seem to have gotten a lot of money.
Are we on youth assistance?
Well, no, I think did you have any other questions about youth assistance?
No, I didn't know which one we were on now.
I thought this seemed good to me, so
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions for that. So the other ones that I have questions about is, New Beginnings, VNA, Lake Street Mental Health, CASA, Waypoint, and CAP. They all got substantial COVID relief.
Yep.
And
they had to spend that on payroll.
Yeah, so I mean, they must, I would think they all have surpluses, which is more than they're asking for us.
Yeah. And I know one of them said that they spent the savings on buying something or fixing something. I forget which one that was, but we'd have to look at each one.
Yeah, well,
Oh, it looks like they got 66,000 for the PPP, but they're returning 60,000 of it because it looks like they used 6,000 for payroll and utilities.
which one are you looking
New Beginnings.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they got 66 payroll protection program, 6,000 incidentally forgiven, and so they're made it
Because that's what they used. So they must have been closed or something because they only used 6,000 of it. They have to return the rest.
Yeah, and that's all for payroll, right?
Yeah, and utilities they used it for.
But when I looked at their balance sheet, their income was up 68%. And that was,
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
yeah, I mean, I know I said it somewhere here. The paper.
You wonder why New Beginnings is even asking for anything from us. I'm like 1,575 doesn't do anything for them.
Yeah, they only really get like $12,000, I think, or 15,000 from the entire area. But I think it's like they want us to be part of it.
Well, I see their 2020 operating bank account has $201,000 in there, almost 202, and they usually carry $20,000 to $40,000, so they got a lot of money somewhere. Minus 60,000 they're going to return, I guess.
Right. I can't find that piece of paper. I'm looking at.
Looks like they got a lot of businesses and church, a big increase. They usually only get about 5,000, but they got, they're looking like they're going to get 26,748 just in income from those donations. You're talking 2020 it was, federal relief was 260,000, and now they're proposed for 2021 income is 478,000. So I guess they're predicting a lot of money coming in.
Oh, yeah. So their total income as of on the July 19th through June 2020, their total income was 801,000, and they budgeted 76
Yeah.
through that same time period, which is a 168% increase. And although the budget for 2020 was only 476, and the proposed budget is 693. So, stuff like that just confuses me.
It sounds like they found a lot of money. And I don't think they need our money.
Yeah, I think we can probably, to me, I would think that they could probably take a year off
Yeah.
because of the COVID. Any other perspectives? Do you just make notes and bring it up? Your final vote?
I mean, are we allowed to put the motions on the table?
Of course.
Sure.
I'm going to make a motion that we do not fund New Beginnings for this budget year.
Sure, a second.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? But I feel they don't really, I think they could skip a year. It was what, 1,575 that they wanted?
Yeah, it's not much at all. And they've doubled their income, if not more.
Right. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye. Dembisky, aye.
Gannon,
Aye.
Lawrence, aye.
Dawson, aye.
Ted,
Nay.
okay, it passes 4-1.
We're funding them $1, correct? Keep the line open.
That's fine. They will send us, I'm sure they will send us another next year. It never goes.
Bill?
Yes.
So to get clear, question for Hall Library, what did they do with the extra money?
You want to know if they actually put people on furlough or unemployment, or did they pay them fully during the entire time they weren't open?
I want to know what they did. I don't know if everybody else saw that they had an additional $8,078 in expenses because of COVID.
Yes,
Did they
that's
get reimbursed?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they
That's-
emailed that to us. Yeah.
Plexiglass and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they didn't have that.
No, it does. It shows here. Yeah, they
Yeah.
got glass, books,
Okay,
sanitizer, hand sanitizer,
It gives you a breakdown of how much they spent.
lunchtime sneeze guards, 32
oh,
by
I see. That's what those are.
I mean, we can definitely net that
Okay.
against what they say.
Yeah, there was $4,929.
For
They
the-
explained
I
they
see,
they
yeah.
put like around where people take out books
Okay,
and close that in glass.
okay. No, our only question really was, were people on unemployment or were they the whole time?
Well, one of the
one-
things does say 2 laptops they've purchased, so ensure staff can work while socially distancing. So maybe they were doing something at home.
Well, all we have to know is if they were being paid. Or if
Yeah,
they
and then
were-
we know
or
if
if
they
they were-
saved or not, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that, Palm Memorial, New Beginnings, DNA, 345.
Huh.
Funds, and they expect 75% of that to be forgiven.
Well, to me, that
payroll.
Yeah, if they're only expecting 75% to be forgiven, it depends on what they use the money for, is why they wouldn't have, because they're going to get verified whether they paid for this amount of payroll or what they used it for, and they had certain percent, which did change over the time. First, it was a certain percent you could only use for rent and mortgage, but that had increased, and it also increased the time frame that you were allowed to use the money. So I don't know why they would think 75% unless they used it inappropriately.
Right, they also got some grants.
Yeah.
122 for Medicare stimulus, no repayment due. They got 10,000
Loan advance.
loan advance for SBA, and then they got another little bit of, and they got a 12,000 extra expenses incurred. Okay, 12,000. Our current supply vendor was out, so they paid, one of their extra payments was for medical supplies. And at the bottom, they're saying we are currently showing a 350,000 operating loss for 2020. I mean, is that?
That's because they want money.
Well, I would think that might be what the PVP covers.
That's what I was just gonna say, the 349, the 75% that they were expecting on the 340.
Right. Right.
So
So
what they're showing.
it looks like the COVID is covering that 315 loss. Our revenue showed large declines in April and May.
So I haven't had time to give this all the due diligence I should, but the revenue loss, my question is, are they disregarding the monies they got, the COVID payments, and just showing that they had a loss in revenue compared to last year?
Well, what
Not showing those loans offsetting it. You see what I'm saying?
on the statement they gave us, their revenue was down about 62,000. Their expenses were maybe up 3,000. So, the revenue they're talking about, that April and May, would probably be that $62,000.
I'm looking at one of their financial position reports they gave us. They listed the PPP account and it's zero in it. And then their operating account has 375,219. So I don't know if
That's the COVID money.
you think they put in their operating account instead of listing it here like they, I don't know why they made a separate account.
I know it's unfortunately these are very confusing times.
I mean, I know a lot of people in the town do speak very, very highly of VNA and how much they do. So
Yeah, they're very good. But I did notice also that their revenue at 9/30 or through June was 138 or 1,382,000, but in 15 or a month and a half later, it was up to 1,800,000. So I'm not sure if that would be the COVID money.
Would you look at
I don't think
Am I allowed to say anything during the discussion?
Yeah, because you're
Selectmen.
no, you're the attendee
Okay, thank you.
at the meeting. So if you have a question, Pat,
I'm sitting here, well, now it's going on almost 2 hours listening to this, and there's 5 of you going over the books, and I get that you're doing a really thorough job of going over the books, and you're making assumptions of where they're putting money and how they're putting money, and you have really no clue to what or where they're putting that money. Like making a statement that $375 in an operating budget, that must be COVID money. That's an assumption. You're talking about, let me just say this.
Pat is actually right here in their.
Okay, and I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at, Bill. But in reality, there are 2 agencies in the town that are our backbone, if you would, that service our town, and that if any agency has been in the thick and the throes of COVID and out there with our disabled, with our sick, and our seniors, has been the Franklin VNA, into the homes, into the COVID situations, right there with them, but right next with them, within inches of them, helping them in their homes. And if we lose Franklin VNA and they lose funding, we lose them. Now, you can look through those books
Not true.
another 2 hours.
That's
They
not,
have been our backbone for years and years and years. And they have been fighting to keep alive from our towns and fundings. I'm speaking, and I have a right to speak.
taking charge of this. Yours. But what you're saying is not true.
How do you know it's not true? You're making an assumption that that's not true. I know for a fact I can name 6 people that they've been in their house within the last 4 days.
Pat, we're
How
not
do you
here.
know it's not true?
We're here to discuss the budget.
You're here to discuss the services given to the town of Tilton. They're asking us to chip in for services for the town of Tilton, not their budget.
Pat, we know that. We're discussing the budget.
Is it worthwhile to give them what they're asking for in the best interest of the town of Tilton?
Pat,
That's the question.
That's something you would bring up at town meeting. We're here to analyze their paperwork they've given us. I understand what you're saying, and they brought that same to us. But that is something you would bring up at town meeting. We're here to analyze their book.
So you think that your job is to analyze their budget for the services that they bring to the town of Tilton?
Yes,
Am I correct in that?
yes, that's what the budget.
I just want to get it on record, Bill. You
Yes.
feel that you're here to analyze their budget in their books, open up their financial books.
Well, they've given them to us.
You've asked for them.
They gave them to us.
So you don't believe that that our job as a budget committee should analyze what services they bring to the town, and is it worth what they're asking as an outside agency? That's a question, Bill.
I don't understand your question, Pat.
What I'm saying is, as a budget committee, are you analyzing their budget for the purposes of analyzing their budget as a budget committee, or are you looking at what they are asking as an outside agency and looking at it as the services rendered to the town of Tilton and what you're getting for the money that they're asking for from the town of Tilton?
That's one and the same, Pat. Okay, anybody else have?
So what?
BNA.
I believe their services are essential to the town.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no.
Take care of medical, general or expensive.
But do they need our money?
That's the only difference is that have they got too much money?
At this point,
I mean,
do
that's
they
what we're
need our
trying to
money?
understand. I mean, it'll just come up with a surplus at the end, which they'll have to fill us.
Our duty is to the taxpayers of the town of Tilton, not the outside agencies.
Okay, well,
Correct.
Let's skip over that for now. And we'll come back. I'll do some more research.
We could hear from some of these taxpayers who actually get services from the BNA.
Well, no, I know. That's very important. I know plenty of people that have got, that's not our issue. I mean, if we want to give them money that they're not going to spend, that's what we're here for.
I think one of the hard things with the VNA is a lot of people get services, sometimes they expect to get paid for them, but then they lose insurance or Medicaid doesn't reimburse them fully. And so it's hard for us to understand a lot of their numbers because a lot of it's speculative.
Mm-hmm.
And what they put down is kind of like that. It's, I look at, 1,842 skilled visits just last year alone, which included 2019 through July. And then I'm starting to think and be concerned with a lot of people who don't have insurance next year and these visits going up because hospitals are closed.
Well, and
it's not a normal year in 21.
plus they don't even have enough staff.
They don't.
I mean, there's things that are impacting their ability even to spend money because they don't have the full complement of people they need to work.
And my other concern is that Lakes Region General Hospital,
Right.
I've been in there a lot and working, and they're pretty much shut down.
Right.
Any procedures or people getting things, and now you got VNA going and servicing a lot of people who are really sick or not going, or people are staying at home and getting sick. It's really hard for me to kind of, extrapolate what we should be doing. And I don't want them to fail because what would happen is if Franklin VNA fails or doesn't turn out to get funded properly with Laconia Hospital changing over to Concord and cutting back services, then now all of a sudden it would be Concord VNA that would have to go and provide the services to our area.
Bill Laconia,
And what's that?
Bill Laconia VNA.
Well,
So
it's
in
Concord
my,
Hospital. I
in
don't know
my
if they-
years, I've used the Franklin visiting nurses that come to my house for me and other family members. If you don't specify you want Franklin visiting nurses, you're gonna get Laconia. So there is Laconia. Just so you know. But they're a great service, there's no doubt. They serve people from
We're not
the day
talking
they're
about-
born till the day they die, but
No,
that's not the issue. The
I'm not-
issue is,
Right.
do they need money from the taxpayers of the town of Tilton for 2021? That's all we're
That's
trying
all we're
to,
trying to
that's
do.
the
And
the only
not
question
answering
we're
that.
trying to
What I'm
answer.
saying
We can,
is-
I think we all agree what a great service they
That's not what
provide.
I'm saying at all. Is that what you're taking them saying? Them just saying they're great service? What I'm trying to say is that in 2021, it's going to be a different story. They're going to need different amounts of funding and help because there's a lot of people that are being displaced from healthcare and needing extra care because of all of this. And that the expenses, I don't think we can read it from a piece of paper that goes from August of 2019 through July of 2020 numbers. It's just, we need to be really careful on this.
You do
Well-
have a valid point, John. I think what we're looking at is what did they save, if anything, and what they're, could carry towards their next balance of, if they had savings from COVID or whatnot.
And Christine, did you see, have you looked at their financial position?
I'm looking at it. I'm gonna have to probably do a little bit more. It seems that there's some conflicting figures from one date to the next, and now their current operating budget being 315,000 loss, when August of 20 it was only 102,000 loss. So either way, they always operate in a loss, and I'm not sure if that's like our budget. You pay things up front and then you get things at the end. I don't know how their budget works, but from the get-go, they've been showing they operate in a loss.
Right, and that doesn't seem to affect their services.
A lot
No,
of it billing for Medicaid, all kind of just like comes in lump sums and.
Well,
oh,
it's-
right, yeah.
And then, a lot of people have co-pays that they don't end up actually paying. And
Yeah.
I mean, I had last year's budget line item, and their revenue was $1 million more than what they budgeted for in the first half of the year. So that just shows how yes, their salaries went way up too. Expenses went way up so they must have expanded or something in the 18 through 19. When their revenue was 2 million, 2.2, and their expenses are 2.6. And now their revenues are total revenue is now 1.8. So that's actually going down from last year. What they were saying. Okay. Well, I think we need to look at that some more.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we can ask them any questions.
Why not? I think they've all been very cooperative.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much gave us, they're saying they're expected an operating loss. COVID cover that or not?
No, I mean, I don't know why they're saying the $350,000 operating loss for 2020 when at the end of August it was only 102. And the other thing about the medical field, like Franklin VNA, any extra money or a lot of the extra money that they would have gotten from state or federal, they were required to give to the frontline workers because my daughter's in the medical field and, you know, they got an extra so much, but they worked every single day and they had to put their, you know, they had to put their self in harm's way for COVID or whatnot. And so I'm not sure if they're showing, you know, looking, I don't want to feel like there's any deceit in these finances. You know, I see the expenses are high for salary, but again, that would be an assumption that they had to pay them the extra money that they got for their medical staff. But where did they put that income? I don't know. So I'd have to look at it more.
Like, as I was looking at last year, where they must have expanded because their salaries, their budget for salaries was 949,000, but their actual salaries was $1.6 million.
Could have been overtime if they don't have an overtime line.
So, yeah, I mean, and that was the year before, and then this year, I think that, I'm gonna find the right paper. There's too many papers here.
We were looking for.
So, well, what their salaries are, what they were expected this year and what they are actually been able to pay out. So it looks like the total COVID money they got is 482,000.
Yep. And that's why I was saying the payroll expense is higher, but I know that a lot of the medical people got extra money because they're on the front lines. So some of that, I don't know what the funds they come out of, but they had to pay it out. You know, they didn't get to keep it as a financial. They had to give it to the people that were putting their lives in that spot.
Right.
It's same thing like us with the police department that they got extra, but we have to flow it through so that you have to show money as an income, but and an outgo.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, if people feel that we should just give them what they're asking for and because of the situation that we are now, I mean, there's not much else we can do to really understand their situation. So they're asking for what, 12,000?
12,000.
Yeah.
How does everybody feel?
Yeah, what are the thoughts?
Well,
I mean, to me,
I'm gonna make a motion that we fund this VNA with that amount.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Well, I'm just feeling that from what I'm hearing from you people that which I don't know, is that actually, if you think about it, yeah, the COVID is just an amazing, breaking everything, is making a mess. And this is one agency that we know takes care of that. So,
I mean, we don't know how many, you said earlier on, that they have how many employees, but how often are those employees now picking up more hours?
right.
Doing all this extra stuff that front of the hospital.
Sure. Well, no, but we know right now that COVID is a hospital-based or a nursing-based problem. So it wouldn't hurt to.
I think the only time we're gonna find out is in 2022.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
It's,
Yeah.
you know,
COVID's around.
Maybe. Maybe.
Roll call vote. There, Christine?
I'm here.
We're having roll call vote now. The motion is to give 12,000 to VNA.
Yeah, the full
Yeah,
request.
12,000.
Oh, 12,000, whatever their, yeah,
Their request.
12,000.
To fully fund them.
They're fully fund their request, yeah.
And who seconded?
I did.
Ted,
Oh, Ted did.
I'll leave the motion. We'll get back to you. John,
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Catherine?
Dawson, yes.
Ted, yes.
Christine?
I'm here, don't worry. I guess let me think here, one more thing. Okay, I'm gonna vote yes.
Okay. 5-0. All right.
Make a motion.
Okay, so next week,
Was that a motion or?
yeah, I think before we adjourn,
Didn't get seconded yet?
Right, get a second.
so the December meeting dates will be the 2nd and the 16th. We have budget books if you want to understand what the budget committee is about. We have those in your folders. We will, I would ask you to look at the
Okay.
just try to understand their figures and come in with questions that we can make it yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do
okay.
have one question, if you're done with that.
Janice, yes, yeah, go ahead.
American Red Cross, the appropriation letter that they sent, I would like to find that in some way. Not in the request of.
I'd like to make a motion. American Red Cross this year.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm making a motion on the American Red Cross this year.
Do not?
Do not.
Second.
Under discussion, I believe. Thanks, Maureen. Yeah, I believe they, late
Yeah.
to us.
Make a motion to adjourn?
No, it's been seconded. Continue, John.
And they turned in it, they've not always actually collected on their money in the past. It's nationally funded.
They didn't collect their money last year. They were, and they never got.
They-
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the last year, yeah. But that's why I think it would save some money on it.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's all vote on it. John?
Yes, to the motion.
Fun. I will vote yes.
Dawson, yes.
Christine?
And this is to not fund the Red Cross.
They were late with their application.
Oh, yeah, I know. I just want to make sure that I heard the right motion. And yeah, mine's a yes.
So 0, not to vote, Red Cross. Okay, now Ted.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Okay, at 9:05. Adjourned.
Billy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just a real quick question. You said the 2nd and the 16th is the next meetings. Is that when you're going to talk about the department heads? Did you say? I didn't hear that part.
We haven't, we have
You said,
heads in those two days, right?
Actually, the chief of police, I have not heard back from him. I asked him if the date would work for him for December 2nd. I have not heard back. I'll follow up with him.
Please, everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe.
You as well.
thank you.
Good night.
That's good
Good
discussion.
night.
Good night, everyone.
I think that was good discussion.
We got a little bit further forward.
Well, no, it's good.
It's so hard.
It is a very difficult, and the figures, I mean, they're so